Hi friends, welcome to the Nostalgia series brought to you by Crickvidya. This is our third episode. This time we have gone out of the box and combined old and new. New because we are discussing T20 and old because we are building a retro T20 India 11 based on players who have played between 1990 and 2000 but have never played T20 cricket. On this exciting thought experiment, we are joined by Manjunath and Abhinav. Manjunath's Twitter handle is Falling Sweep, and we fondly call him Manju. And our second guest is Abhinav. He is a practicing lawyer, and don't let his age deceive you about his cricketing wisdom. His Twitter handle is at Abhinav underscore K316. So, welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Pleasure being here, Yasser. Pleasure being here.
So, Manju, we'll start with you. And just for everybody's understanding, we are looking at players who have represented or played post 1990. They could have been playing in the previous decade as well, and we'll consider the overall performance, but they should have never played a T20 game. So, Manju, we'll start with you. What is your philosophy or conceptual way of framework for looking at a T20 or building a T20 team?
So mainly there should be two decent openers, out of which one of them should have more than one gear in case there is a collapse to handle the innings. And the person coming at 3, 4, and 5, actually they should be able to interchangeably bat in those positions, like how England is doing.
Okay.
Whereas the problem comes in 6 and 7. Now 6 and 7 should have people who have the ability to play a cameo of maybe 10 ball 20 and just decisively turn the game in 1 or 2 overs. And then you have the four bowlers, but definitely like England have a bit of batting ability. It always helps.
Alright.
And the 6 and 7 should be also able to even deliver 4 overs on their own if needed, or at least 2 overs and 4 overs between them.
Right.
Is when you have enough options in case your bowlers are going for runs. So
Right.
this is like the bare minimum what you need.
Okay. Okay. And so essentially, this is how you will construct your team.
Yes.
Okay. Abhinav, what is your view?
Okay. So for me, I think because the 90s and all was a time where India had a lot of those the now derided much used phrase called the bits and pieces players. So I think and also because the person in question here is also a player who's played in the 90s. So I think my team is basically going to have a lot of bowling options because here's the thing. I think what conventional wisdom in T20 cricket suggests is that you go into a T20 in a 20 over game with at least about 24 overs of bowling on your team, because it'll ensure that you have cover ups with you in case one of your main bowlers starts going is getting taken apart for runs. So I think India had a surfeit of pretty decent all round of utility all-rounders and all. So I think I'll keep my team heavy with that. But at the same time, what Manju sir's philosophy said is also correct. So I'll try and balance that out with my instincts of wanting to pack up as many options with the ball as possible.
All right. Perfect. So now with that in place, I'll start. So we'll go about selecting different players and try to build a 11, and then see the difference and maybe the overlaps that both of you have. So Manju, I'll start with you. Who would your two openers be?
Yeah, my openers I'll go with Krishnamachari Shrikant and Sunil Gavaskar. Reason being that Sunil Gavaskar has all over his career adapted to play slowly, but in his last couple of ODI innings, he showed that he has the gear to score more than 100 strike rate. So I would still go with Sunil Gavaskar as a second opener.
Okay, and Shrikant for the obvious reason
Obvious
that you need
reason
a
yeah.
dasher. Okay.
He was the person who started exploiting the fielding restrictions initially and playing shots over the infield and scoring at a good rate.
Okay.
So I would go for them.
Abhinav, what would your who would your openers be?
I'll go one half of that player. So Krishnamachari Shrikant obviously walks in. I need straight out gun explosive batsman who can immediately start taking the bowlers on with and make use of those power play overs in of the first 6 overs. And there isn't anyone better than Krishnamacharya Shrikant to do that. Second, I would try and use that quintessential 90s role of a pinch hitting opener alongside, and I would probably to ensure balance and flexibility, I'll have Nayan Mongia open alongside him.
Okay.
Because Nayan Mongia was a very canny cricketer of the 90s and a great glovesman first up, and also because he would really play a lot of those cameos that important cameos in a one day game, a 50 ball 40 those sort of knocks. I mean, in that Coca-Cola Cup final which India won, he had a pretty sizable cameo in that game with and was promoted up to number 3 to bat alongside Sachin. So I think I would, for flexibility reasons, I would go in for Nayan Mongia to open alongside Shrikant. Honorable mention, I think I would have, to have a left-handed option, I would have probably gone for Sadagopan Ramesh.
Okay, that's interesting because Mongia was, while he may not be a big hitter per se, but he was good at clearing the infield.
Exactly, manipulating the infield.
And that is what you need in the first 6 overs of the power play. So that, I think that ability was pretty good as far as Mongia is concerned. So then I'm assuming that obviously Mongia is also your wicketkeeper.
Yes, he's also my wicketkeeper for this side.
Okay. Just again, mention a name. While he has not played a lot of matches, and I'll take your feedback. How about somebody like Sabah Karim opening? He did well in patches, but as a pure batsman, how would you rate him when you compare it to somebody like Mongia?
As a batsman, purely, I think I would always rate Mongia a little higher, because I mean he was a much to use that phrase, more chalu cricketer than Sabah Karim was. I mean, I think Sabah Karim's batting was a little conservative at times, and even not the most impressive. But Nayan Mongia was a very good manipulator of the field. He could use the gaps very well to get the thing to keep the strike rotating, and also he had a good ability to clear the infield out during the field restrictions. So I think even in Test cricket, they used him as an opener in the 90s because at least to ensure that they had someone who could kind of be a bit of a prickly presence for an opposition attack. So I think I would keep Nayan Mongia over Sabah Karim.
Manju, can you give us more rationale for your second choice of opener and why you have gone for him before we go to the middle order?
Yeah, that's because Gavaskar, when he played in the 70s, the compulsion was to save his wicket and bat conservatively. So over a career of 2 decades, eventually as other players emerged, even in the Benson and Hedges series, he found that he can also afford to bat more aggressively. So we have seen even the aggressive side, and his only ODI 100 has been quicker than a runner ball.
Right.
So I feel he'll be able to pull it off in this format.
Yeah, and considering that he is always in white ball remembered for that one inning, which is actually does not truly reflect his.
It does not reflect his legacy.
Okay, now we come down to the engine room, as they say. Who would your, let's say, 3 middle order players be at 3, 4, and 5, and obviously why?
So 3, 4, and 5, I have decided to pick 2 multifunctional people. That is Ravi Shastri at 3 and Manoj Prabhakar at 4. So since Prabhakar has opened with Tendulkar in 94, and he has the ability to even increase the run rate when the need arises. So these will be my 3 and 4. And to control the innings, and if at all there's a collapse, there is Mohammad Azharuddin at 5. Yeah. So these will be the 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, I think so. Azharuddin, to that extent, Manju, is possibly a straightaway pick in the middle order because of his ability to score quickly and play the spinners.
He also has that 70-odd ball 100 in Test cricket.
Correct.
we know that if the need arises, he can pick it up. So that is why it's very hard to leave him out. There are options, but it's hard to leave
And
him out.
I think even in the white ball cricket, his quickest century was for a very long time the lowest
Record.
record. I mean,
The fastest for.
fastest
Fastest.
century record. Yeah.
Right.
And so Manoj Prabhakar, but you would still have Manoj Prabhakar in your top in the middle order, or would you like to use him, let's say, in the late middle order?
Yeah, so it depends on, like, suppose there's an early wicket, I may send him at 3, and his position will be flexible, like how he's been used to open the batting in the 90s. So he has the ability to do that. Mainly, if something is happening in the middle, he can get the shine off the ball by hitting it hard.
Right.
So that is one thing I can bank on him to do. And if he fails anyway, he's an expendable wicket. You can count it that way.
Okay.
So yeah.
And he was a fighter. I mean, one thing I think that if that describes Manoj Prabhakar, that within his ability, he was a fighter. And Ravi Shastri, because Ravi Shastri again had this stereotype that he's a slow player, but I think there have been instances where he has shown his all-round game.
Hit Tilak Raj for 6 sixes in domestic cricket, and so going from that, like if the need towards the end, he can be a hand once he gets set. So that way.
And I think one thing common among all these three, they're all exceptional players of spin. So middle order over, especially, they can come really good.
Right.
So Abhinav, coming to you, who would your middle order be, and what are the possible reasons?
Slightly, it'll be a very flexible one, but Azhar is a straight walk-in. He walks in, I think I'll bat him at 4. Because I mean, I want that one anchor present, somebody who could control the innings, who could be who could flip through the gears very quickly. Like you said, I think he had before, till the time Sehwag in 2009, he had the record for the fastest one-day century by an Indian batsman. So I think and he could even, and he was also somebody who could drop anchor very, very easily. So I think I would have him at 4. I would use Ravi Shastri at 3 because, I mean, he's played, I mean, as a bit of I mean, to use him as a circuit breaker. I mean, if we start losing wickets, I mean, I would probably use Ravi Shastri at 3 so that, he could also hit the ball quite well. And at number 5, I would probably use Vinod Kambli, in fact. I want a left-hander who could really take the spinners on. Yeah. And somebody like Vinod Kambli is just the man to do that. I mean, he's a bit of that Hetmeyer role.
Right.
I want him to use him as that Hetmeyer type role, who could immediately start pressing on the who I can easily start using as against the spinners. So I mean, because I mean he got a little roughed up with the West Indian Pacers in '94. So his technique against express pace got called into question. But I think against spin, he was always a very, very good player of spin. I mean, coached by Achrekar sir.
Right.
So I think he knows about how to play spin. So I would go in with that trio of Ravi Shastri at 3, Azhar at 4, and Vinod Kambli at 5. But it'll be an interchangeable one.
Yeah, and Kambli is an interesting choice. Obviously, gives you a left-handed option and was excellent against spinners. I think there are YouTube videos of him hitting Vaughan as well during one of the matches. So that's
in that 98 Mumbai versus Australia game at Brabourne, he was the one alongside Tendulkar who went really crackers against Vaughan.
Yeah, so I think that's a very interesting and a little out of the box choice. So any other names that you guys had in your mind, Manju, while deciding the middle order that you thought and you have not finally chosen?
Because obviously Robin Singh, because he's played T20,
right?
So that was one of them, and also a few batsmen who didn't make it to the main fold, like Vijay Bharadwaj was there.
Exactly.
So these were also, but the problem is, like, if you have Azhar, then you cannot select Vijay Bharadwaj or even MV Sridhar from Hyderabad. So these are those risky players who are in the same profile. So unfortunately, and same thing, because I'm having Ravi Shastri in my team, I can't pick either Muscle Raju or Nilesh Kulkarni because they are only left-arm spinners.
Right.
So that was these are the things which worked out.
Yeah, Vijay Bharadwaj is an interesting and an exciting name because I think personally I feel that he should have got a longer rope in the international cricket, because his fastest of spinners were really good, and I think would in the current context in the white ball it would have been really handy. Abhinav, any other name that you were contemplating?
One I was thinking maybe Dilip Vengsarkar, Colonel Vengsarkar. I mean, but because I have Ravi Shastri in there, so I don't want to really spoil because I want at least a few overs, at least in my top 5. I need at least 4 overs around in that top 5, so that I can play around with my combinations a little later on. So I had to make that choice between Shastri and Vengsarkar. Vijay Bhardwaj is a very great choice. I was thinking about him as well because because I could have in my team I could have used him as a to bowl in the first few overs. I mean, to just try and unsettle the batsman around with his very whippy off spin. I mean, because he used to bowl at a much faster pace than what was norm in that time. So I think that was one player and of course, I think we discussed about it. I think the perfect archetypical T20 player we cannot pick due to the criteria Robin Singh. I think the sort of a player who was perfect to bat anywhere from at least 3 to 7.
Yeah.
In this order, because I mean, one left-hander, so that I would have been able to eliminate the need of Kambli. 2, easily alongside, I think the man who probably will captain this team, the best fielder alongside in this side, and very handy military medium bowling, which is wicket to wicket, will not give away a lot of runs. So I think Robin Singh is the obvious miss. But yeah, Vengsarkar, Vijay Bhardwaj, Robin Singh. These are the ones unfortunately, I can't pick.
Exactly. It is interesting because in the current context, when current Indian team is finding it difficult to find players who do bit of both. This is an interesting thing because in the past we had a lot of talent who could do, they were really good in one department, but could do a bit of the other, and vice versa as well. Do bit of batting and bowling. So Manju, we now come down to your, let's say, the late middle order. And so who would you have at, so we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So who would you have at your 6 and 7?
So 6 is one player which I always loved watching, but he never continued. That is Amay Khurasia. And and 7th I'm going for Kapil Dev because he played till he passed Hadley's record, but at his prime he was a good hitter and also very, you cannot fault his bowling. So these are the 2 I chose for 6 and 7.
Yeah, I think if
the reason Khurasia, because I saw him in a couple of ODIs, he's a good hitter. I even revisited the footage. So just because Robin Singh is there, he didn't come that way.
Right.
So, and even if you remember the Taunton chase, with Dravid and Ganguly partnership, when they are injured, it is Khurasia who runs out with a towel or something.
Right. And I think it was against Sri Lanka that he scored his...
for that quick one day 57 or something he had.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
So conceptually, if you look at it, it's a very interesting thing that because the pace of cricket was very different. So some players who could actually have been very suitable to T20 may have not really got opportunities in the white ball team at that point of time because that they didn't fit into the mind as much to that extent. And maybe at that point of time, one day cricket was still an extension of test cricket to a large degree. So that's interesting. So I think Kapil Dev, Manju, would be the first name you write in any white ball team for India for any era. So he fits in straight away. What about somebody like Bedade? Would you have considered him in the late middle order because of his hitting abilities?
Yeah, definitely Bedade, and also even Praveen Amre, one of the who we would have considered. He's a good fielder also.
Yeah.
In those days, he used to have a good rate of direct hits.
Right.
So that way, for the fielding aspect, if we can pick both of these players. So that is definitely there. but main constraint is actually having the bowling options in the top order. So that is
Right.
the, like, again, even in my top order, we can even pick Ajay Jadeja. But
Yeah.
if you Manoj Prabhakar, who can do the job.
Yeah.
So again, the bowling becomes a strong suit. So Jadeja misses out,
I
unfortunately.
was about to ask, my next question was to Abhinav about Jadeja, but yeah. So Abhinav,
He is making it to my team. He is making it to my team.
Yeah.
yeah, so that's good. So who are your 6 and 7 now?
So Ajay Jadeja and Kapil Dev.
Okay.
No questions about that. I could not pick Robin Singh, but I had to pick the double act of the 90s.
Yeah.
The Robin Singh Jadeja double act was one of the
prototype finishers for India.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I need Jadeja for one, his fielding. Two, I think one of the underratedly one of the canniest and sharpest cricketing brains on in India. I mean, his one-day record as a captain, I think 13 games he captained, 8 wins and 5 defeats, and was a very crafty captain and a player. So I think he has to be there. I mean, I was the moment you sent me the things, I knew that if I can't pick Robin Singh, I have to pick Jadeja. I cannot do this. T20 team will be incomplete without Ajay Jadeja in it, because I need him for his fielding. And probably one of the dark horse picks I would probably think of captaining, purely because I want a bit of a tera dimag as a captain, somebody who could really be a bit of an out of the box wala thinking captain. So and Kapil Dev, of course. I mean, any Indian white ball team, any era, it is, like you said, incomplete without Kapil Dev's name. So I mean, and plus, I mean, Jadeja even will give me a few overs as well. Right. He's a bit of a Swiss knife wala player. I mean, he could fit in any, he could plug in any kind of a hole, any do and give me a couple of overs if need be. A perfect finisher. I mean, we just have to rewatch that clip of the 96 quarterfinal where he just went after Waqar Younis, especially. I mean, he took him apart like Waqar was a school kid bowler.
Right.
I mean, the way he went after him. So I think Jadeja, archetypical T20 finisher I need, and Kapil Dev is just Kapil Dev. So I have to pick him.
And I remember first noticing Jadeja for that wonderful catch that he took in 92. Diving forward, which was like, oh, Indians also take such catches.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
not limited to Australians.
Like Australians, Kiwis, they are not the only ones who can dive. We've got a guy, and I think I want that one crazy fielder in that side. I mean, and Jadeja in the 90s alongside Robin Singh were easily the best fielder in that point gully point region.
Yeah.
So I had to have him.
And I think both Shrikant and Jadeja would keep the spirits really high within the team.
Exactly.
So that's a one intangible benefit of having them.
Exactly. And because I mean, the reason why I'm able to pick a Jadeja in the side is because I'm letting having a keeper backed right at the top of the order in Nayan Mongia. So I think that essentially opens up a spot, gave me the option to really play Jadeja in this side, because otherwise it would have been because a keeper in that top in the top 3 always makes it a lot easier for a team to balance their combinations out. In franchise cricket, we see at how Mumbai Indians have done it. I mean, they've used a keeper as an opener for since quite a long time. At least since 2015, we started seeing them use a combination of Parthiv Patel, Ishan Kishan, Quinton de Kock, and Josh Butler as an opener, and that's given them a lot of flexibility. So I think I wanted that sort of I was thinking of that sort of plan, and I think with Mongia in that top order as an opener and Ajay Jadeja there, I think we've got a lot of firepower at the top and towards the end as well.
Perfect. So, Manju, now we come to you. I'm assuming you will have a keeper somewhere there. And
yes.
So who would your, let's say, 8, 9, 10, 11 be now?
Yeah.
And
so
essentially the bowling and the basis for selection.
Yeah. So 8, I've gone with Benson and Hedges way, having Sadanand Vishwanath as the keeper.
Okay.
And then my 9, 10, 11, because I'm having a good seam and 2 seamers on the top, I'll pick both Sivarama Krishnan and Ashish Kapoor. And I'll have Chetan Sharma as my fast bowler. So although it looks a little seem light, but since we have Kapil Dev and Manoj Prabhakar, they should manage.
So Sadhan Vishwanath and Shivrama Krishnan will, I think, in the tango, do it. Will stump Miyadad
Exactly.
again. So in that,
Right.
but reasons for choosing Shivanand Vishwanath, and is it his keeping, or is it purely batting ability, or what are you looking at?
No, his keeping athleticism is one factor, and also he's also a handy batsman. So I think he can up his game to match the T20 standards. So I hope he does that.
And you have Ashish Kapoor and Chetan Sharma, right? So
Yeah,
I think,
and Ashish Kapoor, also another reason is again Ashish Kapoor can bat a bit.
Right.
When he was studying in Chennai for his school, he used to bat 3 and 4. Later, he's now more known as an off spinner.
right.
So we have seen a few Buchi Babu games which have been finished by Ashish Kapoor playing in a higher age group. So I hope some of that batting talent is still intact, so we can use him there.
And you have gone for a leg spinner because I think all T20 11s need a good leg spinner as part of their setup. And I think we have a lot of finger spinners here, so you needed that to make it. And I think Chetan Sharma has some excellent all-round record. He's a pretty handy batsman. He was a pretty handy batsman as well.
Yeah.
So the dubious distinction of being hit for a six is not his legacy as such.
Yeah, that is not his legacy. He is quite he had the skills,
Right.
Yorker or the various, he could move it both ways. So as far as the fast bowling, he was complete one. Okay, he must have been medium pace, but still he was able to pick up the wickets. So.
Would you have considered somebody like Nikhil Chopra as well? Maybe instead of Ashish Kapoor or some very similar.
Like if I was planning to have someone to bowl in the power play, I would rather bowl this middle and leg defensive kind of Nikhil Chopra.
Washington Sundar kind of.
Washington Sundar kind of an off spinner.
Right. And any other bowler or player that you were considering or would like to consider, you have not taken?
One person who missed out is like he couldn't get a game in the '83 World Cup, Sunil Walson.
Yeah.
But since he is 80s, I did not include him. Otherwise, it would have been really good to have a left armer in the mix somewhere, because that was the age when left arm was a rare thing till Zahir and Nehra came.
Right.
So that would have been a good addition.
Abhinav, we come to you now. You already have your keeper right at the top. So who would your 8, 9, 10, 11 be and why?
8, I'm keeping Manoj Prabhakar.
Okay.
I wanted a proper all-rounder at 8. Somebody who can easily give me a bank of 4 overs, and also, I can use him as a dispensable wicket to go up to bat anywhere in that top in that top 7. So Manoj Prabhakar at 8, Jawal Srinath at 9. I need that one out and out tear away quick who can not only bowl towards the whom I can use a bit mostly towards the latter half of the innings. So, and also he could swing his bat around fairly well. For the spinner's role, I was really struggling. I was thinking of maybe looking at very unorthodox options like Maninder Singh and all. I was thinking, but now that I have Shastri, so I do not want a finger spinner in. I was really considering Nikhil Chopra as well. I was really, till the last moment, I was thinking Nikhil Chopra, but I would probably go in for like Manju. I would probably make a pick of Narendra Hirwani.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting choice as a leg spinner, but I feel he would probably be a very interesting option. And I was even contemplating
better because Hirwani was actively playing in the 90s, whereas Ramakrishna had faded away by then. Exactly. So that also makes it more good choice.
Yeah. So Hirwani and I'll have Hirwani bat at 11 because, as Harsha Bhogle once said, in a team of number 11, he would still walk in at number 11. So he is still going to walk in at number 11, and at number 10 because I have 3 pacers already there so I would actually not mind picking Nikhil Chopra in there at number 10. Just have batting right down till number 10 like England do in the modern day T20 game. And because I can easily use him in the power play overs. I have spinners of all varieties I mean, I have a leg spinner in Hirvani. I have an off spinner. I have a left arm spinner in Ravi Shastri, and with Nikhil Chopra being there, he gives me an off spin option and a bit of a spark plug with the bat. I mean, he could somebody who, if Phasara or match 20 needed of 11, 8 wickets down, Nikhil Chopra can come out and hit a 6. Yeah,
right.
He could hit a 6. So I think Nikhil Chopra at 10 and gives and somebody with whom I can have Manoj Prabhakar operate in the power plays.
Right. Yeah. So he gives you an all-round option. So
yes.
That's a big
advantage. So that's my and somebody who I mean, I was thinking very, very hard about a very different choice in place of Narendra Hirvani. I was thinking Bhagwat Chandrasekhar.
Yeah.
I was really thinking till the very last time Bhagwat Chandrasekhar, because there was I mean,
bowling was perfect for T20.
T20.
I mean, a very
yeah. He had this mill reel ball which will leave his hand, and next minute the stumps are clattered.
I mean, I was thinking about that because I mean, very mysterious sort of had a lot of mystery about him. I mean, he tagged as a leg spinner. He could do. I mean, he had a lot of variations. Even so I think Chandrasekhar I thought as a very interesting choice in place of Hirvani. But I thought because Hirvani was a more active player in the 90s and somebody who could who was just a little better for that period of time. I think I decided to move in for Narendra Hirvani.
Perfect.
And Ashish Kapoor was an option I was thinking of, but I think Nikhil Chopra just offered me a little more with the bat.
Perfect. So, Manju, coming back to you, who would your captain be? We have selected a team. Now, who do you think would have been the canniest enough or smart enough to lead a T20 team, which needs a lot of cricketing smarts and also has a lot of superstars? And how important do you think a coach would be in this setup? And if there is a choice, would you be selecting a certain type of coach?
Okay. So see, this team has a lot of big egos with a few small individuals. So I think Krish Srikanth is perfect to lead them. And also like how KL Rahul did for Kings 11. So you just have to open the innings and you don't have much to worry about as far as the batting.
Right.
And you can set the pace in the game. So that way I felt it's better that Srikanth captains and he can have inputs from everyone. And for a team like this, a coach should be either Gary Kirsten or Andy Flower, one of these people. Only they can handle this set of individuals properly. Since most of them, they have their own routines. Like if you see in the 90s, Kapil used to train separately from the team in a different place. And he had his own routines before he got ready for a series. So that way you need a coach who's more of a back, like you can't have someone like Ponting handle these people.
Yeah, you need somebody who takes a little back.
Yeah, who takes the back seat and lets them do their stuff.
Fantastic. Abhinav, who would your captain? I think you have told us who your captain
is.
Ajay
Jadeja. I would go for Ajay Jadeja. I want a real Tedhi Buddhi as a captain. Yeah. I mean, not as steady as Ashish Nehra.
Good choice. Yeah.
Not as steady as Ashish Nehra, who thinks length balls are the way to go in T20 cricket.
Right.
But somebody who really had a lot of cricketing smarts. And somebody who I mean, one of the canniest player. I mean, even today in the commentary box or when he on cricket bus, his views about cricket are so much more pertinent even now. I mean, his thought processes work perfectly for as a captain for the T20 format. So I would go in with Ajay Jadeja as a captain because I want some. I mean, I don't give a damn about the superstar egos that are there. I mean, because there are too many of them.
Prabhakar and you can trust Jadeja to have very good equations with everybody. So,
yes, I mean exactly. He was the sort of a guy. He's the sort of a guy who will immediately calm a dressing room out because he's that sort of a character. He chills. He's a very chilled out character, but has a very probably the sharpest cricketing brain amongst all in the entire 11. And for a coach, I would probably go for Trevor Bayliss.
Interesting. Perfect.
I would probably go in for a Trevor Bayliss because he has white ball pedigree. I mean, he turned Sri Lanka into a demonic white ball team from 2007 to 2011. Immediately after when he took over from Tom Moody over there. and then it did really well at New South Wales as well, and turned the Sydney Sixers over into a very good BBL team. One was alongside Gautam Gambhir was the double act which got KKR's 2 titles in the IPL in 2012 and 14, and of course the World Cup win for England in 2019. So I think it's and a great character, because he is the sort of guy who will immediately calms all the equations out. He's content at being he's content at being a part of the wall. So he's the sort of a guy I would definitely have him as my as a coach and assistant coach. I mean, if not as a player, I'll at least have Robin Singh as at least in a coaching role.
For so a moment, I thought you were going to tell I'll have Abhinav as the assistant coach.
No. I Robin Singh, at least. I mean, I can't keep him as a player, but man, he's a pedigreed coach in his own right today. So I think I would have Robin Singh assisting Trevor Bayliss.
Fantastic. So Manju, coming back to you, okay. So this is essentially a fictional exercise because we have never seen them play in T20. But if you have to extrapolate, do you think this T20 11 could have defeated the current Indian team? And my second question is there any Indian player from the before the 90s, one player who you would like to have in this if given a choice?
Yeah, so if given a choice, I would have ML Jayasimha in this lineup. Because I've never seen him play. I've only read things about him. Once he got off a plane from New Zealand and immediately went and scored 100.
So bring a lot of flamboyance at least.
Yeah, a lot of flamboyance, those fierce square cuts. So one between Jayasimha and Vishwanath, maybe we can toss a coin between them to find out who makes the 11. And also 2 notable mentions, like if I didn't have Chetan Sharma, I would have chosen either one of the Kerala quicks, Abe Kuruvilla or Tinu Yohannan on my side. Because since they didn't get a good go for the national team, I feel they had the skill set to make it even in the T20.
Yeah, I agree. And do you think this 11 could challenge or defeat the current Indian T20 team?
Yeah, based on their 90s form, definitely they would have. Maybe India, Washington Sundar bowling to Amay Khurasia, or how would they hold back Washington Sundar? They will have to search like these strategic punts. They would have to make it definitely.
Right. So, and who do you think would bowl to Kohli or Rohit Sharma?
Yeah, so Kohli definitely Sivaramakrishnan, considering the record against yeah. So they will definitely find something against him. And since like we have spinners in my side who are capable of deceiving batsmen in the air, that is not something which you see nowadays.
Right.
So I don't know how the current players will deal with that. Yeah. Like when they are being deceived in the air, still that huge piece of it goes for a 6.
Exactly.
So, so let us see how that matchup goes.
Fantastic. So Abhinav, coming to you again, the same set of questions. One player from the earlier era you would like to have here, and do you think this team can beat the current Indian T20 team?
Man, I'm spoiled for choices in the one here. I mean, I'm spoiled for choices because I mean, there's like Manju sir said, there's ML Jayasimha, Tiger Pataudi expressly for his leadership.
Very good.
Then Vishwanath, of course. I mean, probably the most stylish batsman of the 70s, 80s. With Chandrasekhar, I've already mentioned. But the one player I would have probably gone for is Chandrasekhar, because I felt, I mean, a proper wizard of a spinner, somebody who, I mean, best of the best. I think I stuck to a more contemporaneous choice in Hirwani, but if there was a slot, I would have wanted to target Kohli off. It was with having him match up to Chandrasekhar.
Perfect.
So that is the one, and I think this side may probably get the better of the Indian team, the present Indian T20 team, because one, let's face it, I don't really trust the wide ball captaincy skills of Virat Kohli, and he's a fabulous red ball captain, but I think as a T20 captain especially, he comes out very, very, very short. And I think we've, I've spoken about it quite a few times that I'm not the greatest fans of Kohli, the T20 captain. So, and because this team bats very, very deep, I have a lot of the, with the number of bowlers that this present Indian team has, they'll struggle to try. I mean, because it's like it's like a head of a Medusa. You cut one, there's another one which is springing up.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I think just the all-round ability and the balance that this team has. If they lose early wickets, they have batsmen who can control the innings. If they have wickets in hand, they have batsmen who can hit it out. Then they have spinners who can bowl in the power play overs. They have spinners who can bowl later and fast bowlers, etc., who can bat. So from an all-round perspective, it is a much more balanced team.
Because basically, I'm carrying about 27. I'm carrying at least 30 overs of around 30 overs of bowling in for a T20 game.
Yeah,
because my bottom four anyways 4 overs. Kapil bowls 4. I have Shastri who bowls 4, and I mean Jadeja can give me a couple as well.
Fantastic.
So I mean we have that. We have those options there. So and plus I mean it's Jadeja. So Jadeja being with his very tactical brain, I think he would be able to outfox a lot of the present Indian players, especially on the field as a captain.
Right.
Because his moves will be very, very because he thinks very out of the box, very tactical. So I think he would really be able to fox people out. So if he was going to captain this team for a Kohli, he would immediately be using Narendra Hirwani and using Hirwani and Javagal Srinath to immediately target him.
Perfect.
The fastest and one of the wiliest spinners that India has.
Perfect. Got it. So thank you guys. This was a fantastic thought experiment where we have gone back in time to maybe choose players who would have made excellent T20 players, and there is a lot of common intersection between both the teams selected by you, but there are also distinct features in each team. So thank you so much, and I hope the people listening to this enjoy this experiment. So thank you guys. Thank you so much.